Hey everybody, welcome back to Majestic Collectibles. Good to see you. Well, I can't see you. You know what I'm saying. Thank you for watching. That's what I'm trying to say here. Got some more topics to talk on, viewer mailbag stuff. And as is typical, this is from the Corey Colander mailbag. I just gave him his own mailbox at this point, and I got the 3-page list. Is it? Yeah, three and a half page list. Got a couple different topics. We're going to start out, I think, well, I don't know. I'll leave it up to you guys here, but they're kind of interconnected, so I wanted to put them together. And I'm just going to read this to you as usual. What would you do? So we're kind of like on this truth or dare thing already. Example. You're in the shop you frequent. This would be a local comic or collectible store. Someone walks in with pictures of a collection that look interesting. The owner shows very little to no interest. Do you approach him in the shop, wait until he leaves, or just give him your business card in the shop, or approach it in a different way? And this is interesting to me because I've been on both sides of this. In other words, as a shop owner, brick and mortar store owner, I've had this happen. And I've had it when I've been visiting a shop. So I've been on that side of the counter. Random occurrence or whatever. And, it kind of... The answer to me isn't as complicated as you might think, kind of deal. But I'm going to start with the owner, the business owner side, the brick and mortar, the guy that's on the, behind the counter. And I think you have to understand that they made an investment in wherever they're at, in the building and the employees and the inventory. And when somebody walks in and has something they're interested in selling, or say they're interested in selling, because not everybody is as interested as they think, I guess. Maybe I ought to put it that way. Most of them are kind of fishing, but that's a whole nother topic. So I always do not want to interfere with other dealers' stuff. I don't like it if somebody, interferes with my deals, with my customers that have come to see me specifically. So the first thing, I always defer, to the owner of that shop, because that's who they came to see. And if they turn it down, and this happens a lot, I'm both sides of the counter again, nothing unusual. That's when things, I guess, get interesting, if you want. Now, if I know the shop owner, and this has happened actually right here in Rodman Comics, here in Ankeny. I don't buy a lot of new stuff, but Cam goes and buys things up there, and they get back issues, and they have special events. I always try and support the local guy. But I've been in there probably 2 or 3 times over the years, and that very thing has happened. And Rod's always been really good about, hey, this guy's here, maybe check with him and see if he's interested. And that's really cool, because not everybody would do that. So I think a lot of the answer depends on how well you know that person on the counter. And if I didn't know him well, kind of thing, I would say, hey, is it okay if I take a look? I might be interested. And they usually say yes. I can't recall being turned down. It might have happened. I don't, I'm old. I don't remember that stuff. But I would say, just as a courtesy, if you're in the shop and say, hey, is this okay? And if they say no, I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I tell you what, the person that's selling the stuff doesn't really care if they got somebody they think is interested. They'll probably talk to you either way if they know you're interested. But I would do the courtesy of going outside the shop and talking to them and things like that. Because, doing business in somebody else's shop, just not cool, in my department. And even if it's at a show, that booth or table or whatever the setup is on that show, you've paid for that. You may or may not have promoted it. A lot of times, I'll put it on Facebook, come and see me and stuff like that. So, I kind of treat that area as the same as I would a retail store. So I don't, I don't want to be doing that. I don't want to be doing, my collar's out. It's driving me nuts. I don't want to be doing that there. It's a little easier at a show because you can just walk in the aisle or go to a sitting area or whatever and have a conversation. The shop could be tougher depending where it's located. The weather outside, where do you want to go? If you're strangers and you don't know each other, do you hop in the car with somebody? I'm going to say let's make a good life choice there, and probably not the best plan kind of thing. But I would, outside the shop, I would say, hey, I'm interested. I'd look at the pictures if they had them. Try and give them a yes or no, which isn't always easy because, if people aren't familiar with the collectibles, they always take pictures of the things they like, but not necessarily the things that are valuable or rare because they don't know that. And condition and grading and things, we've talked about that. I just looked at a collection in the mall yesterday, antique mall. Came up there, they had a bunch of 12-cent books, and boy, they were nasty. I mean, they smelled nasty, they looked nasty, and of course they went online to eBay, and they've got the prices on the back, $25 to $40 a piece, and I'm thinking, dude, I can't get $5 out of this thing, So that happens. That's just, I don't know, it's just part of the deal, So I would at least be courteous and talk to the owner and then follow up from there. I've given them a business card. Now, if I'm traveling, like saying I'm 2, 3, 4 hours away from home, like I'm back up in Spirit Lake or Storm Lake or Sioux Falls or Sioux City, or even when I travel out to the East Coast, it makes it tough because it's like, oh, you want to, get together in a day or two or over the weekend. Well, the situation may dictate just how interested I am, because if you're only there for a few hours or just stopping through, that could make looking at a collection pretty difficult. But you always take a look. You just do not know what's going to walk in anywhere. So that's my take on that. I really haven't had any, at least nobody's gotten in my face about it and yelled about it. The biggest problem I've had with this situation is not with customers. It's with other dealers. And I'm not talking newbie dealers. I'm talking dealers that know better and do it anyway. And if there's something, I'm pretty easy going, but if there's something that really burns me is another dealer sitting in my booth or my table or my shop, talking to everybody that comes in and trying to buy stuff right in front of me. That does not fly. And I've had that very one-sided conversation, which usually involves get out of my booth and leave my customers alone. Okay, go fishing in your booth. That's why you're there. Go fishing in your store. Go fishing at your table. That's fair game. That's what you do. You don't walk into some other dealer's place and start trying to buy and sell stuff and poach their customers. So that's, as weird as that sounds, that is the biggest problem I've had with situations like this. Just kind of depends, I guess, on your point of view. But if they're not interested, in somebody's and looking at the pictures or somebody's collection, I take that at face value and figure that is a potential purchase opportunity. I just think you got to be respectful, when doing that. So the next topic, and so it's not really related to the first one, but there's two topics here I put together. So I'm going to read them both, and then you'll see why kind of it all works together. At least I think it does. Will the market boom again, if ever? That was it. Question. What has to happen to get the collector back? So they're tied together. I mean, they're all kind of, two sides of the same coin situation. And I'm actually going to address the second one first, and that is what has to happen to get the collector back. So right now, and this is not new, it picked up during COVID, but it's honestly been around since, mid-late 90s. So, I would say 25, 30 years at this point. The collector market or the collectors, it's really a speculator market, and you see that with all the variant covers, all these limited editions, all these, and I don't care if it's trading cards, I don't care if it's comics, most of these collectibles now all have some type of gimmick, I guess, if you will, to try and get the collector in, and most of the gimmick revolves around rarity, scarcity, and perceived value, monetary value on these things. And to me, that's not a collector. Okay, and I'm not saying this is wrong. If you do this, that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying a collector appreciates it for different reasons other than monetary value. They like the art, they like the story, they like the concept, whatever it is. And collectors do like nice things, but collectors aren't as picky about condition as speculators or investors, which I would not use that term, but whatever. So to me, a collector, if you want the collectors back, and I'm going to focus on comics here, what makes a comic collector versus a comic speculator or investor or whatever? And I think the difference is really simple in that they read them. I really think that's it. I grew up reading comics, and some I liked, some I didn't. That's the way it goes. But I read all sorts of different comics. I wasn't just Marvel or just DC. I wasn't just Batman. That was my favorite. But I read I read about anything I could get my hands on. I just liked to read as a kid. And of course, here's another difference. Ooh, got to catch them all, right? So I didn't have that. Didn't have that as a kid. And where I grew up in Northwest Iowa, those winters started about the middle of October and ended about the end of April, early May. So there's a lot of cold, windy weather. We didn't have cable TV. We actually did have an Atari 2600 with 4 games. So it's not like today's video games. I'm playing Indiana Jones, and I just downloaded the Oblivion remaster. Where you can stick 30 to 150 hours into a game. That wasn't available. So comics for me is what I did. I read everything, and that's how I really the collection and the collecting grew. And so to bring the collector back, I think you have to be interested in it for other reasons than monetary. And I'm going to use a couple of other examples that should relate to most people. The first one's Beanie Babies. Now, Beanie Babies started out as like a $2 stuffed animal thing for kids, right? And then the adults came in and ruined it, which is what happens 100% of the time. And they ruined it because now they're buying cases of Beanie Babies. And, they're selling these Beanie Babies for hundreds of dollars a piece. And I'm going back 30 years, not now. And, of course, the kids that just wanted a fun stuffed animal for entertainment for 5 minutes, they're out of the market, right? But those are the kids that 30 years later, if the market wasn't destroyed by the adults and the money, they're still picking up Beanie Babies, but they're still not spending money on them. A couple of bucks here, whatever, $1 a piece. I've tried to give them away free at some of the flea markets, and that's a market where the collectors versus the speculators. The collectors were never really interested in the monetary value, and they still aren't. Right? I mean, I got a call from Wisconsin. Okay, I don't know how they ended up with me. They're about 6 hours away in Wisconsin. They called me, wanted to know if I wanted to buy their Beanie Baby collection. They had about 200 of them, and some of them were worth over $1,000 a piece. Yeah, I'm not gonna hit that tangent right now, but Again, not a collector, and the collectors I have pay $1 to $2, if that. I mean, I could have 115 gallon tubs full of Beanie Babies, and sell 100 a year at $1 a piece. So I don't mess with them. But that's one market where the collectors had an interest. Somebody came in and hijacked it. Diecast, especially NASCAR stuff, I still get tons of calls. I've had like 4 calls on that in the last 2 weeks. Diecast NASCAR collections. They were fans of the sport, and then the money got involved, and now I'm seeing stuff, from the late '80s, early '90s, and they'll rattle off these drivers. Alan Kulwicki. Dude, I'm sorry, nobody is collecting Alan Kulwicki anything. Mark Martin, no. Davey Allison, nah. I mean, that's in the past. And sure, there's some Dale Earnhardt stuff still sells now and then. But honestly, that's another group of collectibles that has just is hijacked by the money and the limited edition and the shiny new toys coming out. And most of those companies, look at Racing Champions and some others, Johnny Lightning, they went out of business. They came back. Somebody bought the license. There's a few things trickling out of here and there and along those lines. But again, when any collectible, comics, trading cards, it doesn't matter, gets hijacked by the money, getting the collectors back, I don't know how you do that. For comics, they have to start reading them. They have to be interested in reading them. And I got to tell you, I quit collecting comics, new comics, myself, probably close to 20 years ago now, probably 17, 18 years ago. And I got to tell you, the number one reason was the stories were garbage. The art was great. The art was fantastic. I'd have rather had a good story, because it wasn't worth my money when they were $4, $3.99 a piece, and now that they're $4, $5, $6.99 a piece or higher, and you get like 10, 12 pages of stories, and it's terrible. People are just kind of specking on the covers, and I do collect covers. We talked about that a couple videos ago. The cover magic, and it exists, and I'll still go every once in a while if I see a killer cover just appeals to me. I'll buy it. Do I read them? No. Do I collect them? Not the new stuff? No. I read my stuff, my old pre-code horror and things like that. I love the art. I love the wild covers. The stories are just bonkers. Is it good literature? I would not at all say it was good literature. I will say it was fun to read, though. And it's enjoyable. Kind of thing. It's not trying to, most of the time it's not interjecting politics. It's not interjecting religion. It's not, as weird as this sound, the old sci-fi horror stuff is not nearly as dark as say an average Batman book. It's really strange to see that dichotomy in there. The horror stuff was scary fun. Not this dark, go into this dark place and quiver kind of thing. You pretty much knew how a lot of them were going to end, right? So it was actually a pretty safe read. Today, I don't know, and I don't have any trouble with expanding literary boundaries at all, but I think in the context of comics, you have shifted what made the market, which was kids buying them, and you've shifted it to an adult market, and I'm not sure that's working. I just, it seems to me every year it just shrinks a little bit more. So I think it's really, really tough to get that collector back. If you've got any ideas on how to do that, and I don't care if it's comics or whatever it is, if you've got thoughts on that, let me know. Because, at my age, I'm getting to that point now where I'm seeing a lot of this stuff I grew up with has no interest. My kids grew up with comics. No, it's all right. or video games, or, oh, Sean texted me. Hey, Sean, I don't know if you're watching this. I'll get to you in a second here. So, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is on that. When will the market boom again, if ever? Well, first of all, as usual, I'm going to answer this backwards. The market will 100% guaranteed boom again. Guaranteed. So if you follow the collectibles market industry, whatever you want to call it, at all, the one thing we are absolutely notorious for and have absolutely 100% earned this terrible reputation is the massive boom and bust cycles that it goes through. And every time it goes through it, it seems to get just stupidly new heights. And, during COVID, some of these numbers you were talking about, from Michael Jordan rookie cards to Amazing Fantasy 15s, whatever it was, I mean, you saw numbers that were absolutely staggering. And we're not talking adult grown-up. We're talking multimillionaire, deep money players driving this stuff up, which left out 99% of the market, even with, free government money. Now, is that going to happen again? Well, I don't know. Never say never, because we're certainly paying for it in the long run with the drop in the overall collectibles market, and some segments really getting hit harder than others. But it will boom again. I think it's going to be a long time, though. If you take the COVID era boom, I'm going to say ended 2021, early 2022 for most collectibles. That's when things kind of plateaued, and then 23 and 24 we've seen some prices come down pretty hard, 60-70%, but they've stabilized. I'm not anticipating any more big drops on the vintage stuff, at least what I deal in. Not on the horizon, but as collectors like me in my mid-50s get older, how long are we going to be buying that stuff? That's what's happened with a lot of the boomer collectibles, is they're much more interested in getting rid of them because they find out their kids just want the money, basically. So that's been tough, and the same thing's going to happen to my Gen X generation. I don't see any difference there on that, but I don't think the overall massive boom. I think we're still probably, I don't know. I mean, basically, you're talking probably late 90s to about 2028. Well, it'll be 2020, 2021. So you're talking probably close to 25 years, and a lot of things that were dead, trading cards, junk trading cards, junk bulk comics, things that were really common that the collectors, the real collectors, already had or weren't interested in, shot up because they were easily accessible and were low price there at that time, and then they drove the price up. So I don't know. I don't know with the electronics, the imaginary, like your Pokemon stuff, your Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, your anime manga stuff. A lot of that manga is still physical, but a lot of the things I just mentioned here are all virtual. And, you can see behind me, I got the Godzilla, I got the Iron Spider-Man, I just put in the Kaiju number 8 Kikuro model kit on top of the radio there. That's the type of thing that I think is probably going to grow the most because people are going to pick something from their favorite characters and not necessarily the show itself or the imaginary part. I mean, obviously they have virtual skins and limited edition stuff there, which from what I've been told is kind of cooled off somewhat too. But I think the collecting is going to change, and so the next boom that I see is probably not going to involve the same things it did over COVID. I think it's going to be a lot of different stuff. My kids are in their 20s, so you give them another 15 years, 10 to 15 years, and that's the kind of collectibles, a lot of it you're seeing behind me. That's the thing that I think is going to take off, and that's the type of thing I think is going to boom. And of course, there may be a new player. When Beanie Babies came in and blew up, some of the NASCAR stuff came in and blew up. The trading card stuff, the one-on-ones, the ultra rares, the bounties, the variant covers for the comics. I mean, all that stuff was new, and now it's not as new, right? And some of the stuff, those one-on-one trading cards for sports. Unless you actually rip one in a pack, which you might as well play the lottery because the odds are terrible, and it's not cheap. It's not cheap to do. And when you got the deep end players opening cases, not boxes, cases, chasing these cards, I don't know. I don't know how long that's going to go long. I mean, at the price, some of these cases, case of trading cards, sports cards. I mean, you might be talking $12,000 to over $20,000 for a factory and open case. Some of these trading card boxes, $1,400 for a sealed box, and there's usually 12 to 18 packs in there, maybe three, 4 cards a pack. So they're really playing on this scarcity, and this upscale premium collectible seems to be where a lot of this big money's moving. I don't know as how the mass market is going to be very involved in that. That's going to be kind of that high-end, limited edition, more money than Brains Club, if you want to call it that, collectible. Somebody might walk in and buy a $20, $50, $100 pack of cards on occasion, but I don't see that taken off just because of the scarcity. And now with the new the trading card licensing situation, I don't know how many dealers are going to get it. I don't think you're going to see it in the big box stores, or even like we got the farm stores have it, Staples has it, hardware stores have it around here. I don't think you're going to see the premium stuff in any of that. So I think things are changing. I think we're really in transition, and the next probably 10 years are really gonna say a lot. And I don't know how much of this current stuff is going to come out on that end backside of this 10 years from now and be in demand. When you take away the mass market, because that's what makes your collectibles is when you have all these people, even if you weren't a diehard collector, I remember my brother collected that, or my mom or dad collected that, or my grandparents had this. You saw it. It's something people grew up with and spent time with and enjoyed, and now they buy it and they put it in a safety deposit box, or they stick it in a box and throw it in a closet or basement. So until that behavior changes back to getting it out and just enjoying it for what it is, without the monetary aspect, or at least the investment speculation aspect, I don't know. I just don't see that coming back. And the boom, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on the next collectibles boom. A lot of that was driven, especially this junk wax buying and the trading cards and even the comics, was driven by people having free money during COVID. And when that's dried up and that's out and they got bills to pay and they've had their fun, let's face it. I mean, it was a great time. You had nothing to do but sit at home and do things in certain areas. So why not rip packs? Why not read a bunch of comics? That was really cool. But I think it's over. So the boom, we'll just have to see. I wish I had the brains to prognosticate when that will happen, but I will say it's gonna be a while, and it's not gonna be my generation. I really don't think that it's gonna be the younger generations are gonna drive whatever the boom is, because I think in another 10 years, I'm staring retirement right in the face, right? And am I going to be dropping a couple thousand a year or more on collectibles when I'm 65 and I'm looking at fixed incomes, or I want to go hit the beach or go golfing or travel around the world or whatever it is I want to do? I'm not going to be buying this stuff anymore. I don't know what else to say. So I think it's just a natural progression on that. So if anybody else, and this is no dig at Corey, sorry, but if anybody else has topics they want me to talk on, I'm happy to do that. Leave me your questions or comments, in the... everybody always says down below, right? Except I don't really know how this works, so however you leave them, just that's fine. I don't get a ton, so I do try and answer, or at least to reply or whatever, and thumb up, whatever, anybody. So I do read them. And that's it. That's all I've got for now. Again, my next show is not till Memorial Day weekend. I am working on some stuff though. I've got an idea, which is not everybody kind of just starts crying when I say that. But this could be a good one. So I've just contacted somebody this morning, and I want to develop this a little more. I've never done this before, and it involves collectibles, but it involves kind of a new venue for selling them, kind of thing. And I've always kind of had in the back of my mind to do this, so we'll see how that goes. I don't mean to tease you too much, but hopefully over the next couple of weeks I'll have this conversation with these folks, and they can answer some of my questions and help me out. So when I know a little more information, whether I decide to do it or not, either way, I will let you know on that and keep you updated, because I'd like to get your feedback. If you think it'd be something as a collector or buyer or whatever you'd be interested in, that's valuable information for me. So when the time comes, please let me know. Thanks for watching.